You know how a lot of chefs say we're artists? I think we're authors. I think we're telling a story. So anytime you come to Haven Mar, I'm telling a story of, like Ethiopian cuisine. There's historical context. There's a geographical context. So anytime I'm changing my recipe to appease your palate, I'm erasing my history.
This is Hotspot, an On the Pass series where we highlight some of the hottest emerging brands and the people behind them.
Hey, On the Pass community, Gabriel here. I'm currently in Medellin, Colombia, spending time with chef friends and exploring the rich array of Colombian ingredients. If you're interested in following my journey and learning more about the icons and innovators shaping Colombia's food and hospitality culture, check out the show notes for links to our Instagram and YouTube channels. Also, if you haven't yet explored our Effects of Change original series in partnership with Bon Appetit, it's a must listen. This series delves into the progress within the culinary and hospitality industries, featuring conversations with influential figures like Chef Daniel Humm, Chef Helena Regadas, Chef Sean Sherman, Claire Reichenbach, CEO of the James Beard Foundation, and spirits mogul Fawn Weaver, to name a few. I hope you enjoy. Our next guest embodies joy, a fitting sentiment as her name reflects this in her culture. Fariyal Abdullahi is a multi-talented chef, entrepreneur, TV personality, and the executive chef of Marcus Samuelsson's Haven Mar restaurant in New York City's Chelsea neighborhood. Originally from Ethiopia, Fariyal's culinary passion was ignited by her mother's cooking and the diverse cultural experiences of her upbringing. Now at Haven Mar, she infuses her Ethiopian heritage into this seafood-focused menu, emphasizing sustainability and thoughtful sourcing. Just a quick warning, listening to this episode might make you hungry, so plan accordingly. Now let's dive into my conversation with the delightful Fariyal Abdullahi. I wanted to start with the meaning of Fariyal in Arabic.
Yeah. So in Arabic, I believe it means, somebody told me it means angel. But in my specific tribe in Ethiopia, in Gaysinan, it means someone who's always happy.
That fits. I think I read it said, so online it said, a family of lions, a precious gem.
Precious gem.
A rare pearl, noble, majestic. It has a lot of meanings. That's why I wanted to understand from you what is the meaning on your side, what's specific to your culture.
Yeah, I think when my mom named me, it was with the intention of someone who's always happy, which is a lot more pressure than like noble, rare gem or something. I don't know. Being happy all the time?
I mean, that's a lot of pressure though.
That is a lot of pressure. Well. All the time.
It's funny that you said pressure, because that's the question that I was going to ask you is, there's so much data and people talk about the name you're given.
Yeah.
Dictates in some part how you move through the world.
Yeah.
And so like, how has being joy, being the embodiment of joy, how has that maybe for positive or for negative or just in general dictated how you move through the world?
I could pose the same question for you, because in all the scriptures, so I'm Muslim, so from the Quran, Gabriel, Jibril, is the messenger is the angel that brought down the Quran to our prophet. So how do you feel about, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's the reason I asked that, because people my whole life I used to work at Starbucks. People would come up to me, and whatever you believe, it doesn't matter. But people would go, "That's the most important, angel, and the most important name, and the most important this." And I'm like, "Yo, I'm just a boy. Don't put that pressure on me."
You're like, "Here's your venti macchiato. Have a nice day." Like, I don't know what to tell you. No, but I do think there is some truth to it, because it's part of my ethos. I'd rather lead with love and joy than just move through the world sad and depressed. And that's how I lead my kitchens, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because my mom named me Fariyal or that's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think names definitely do have an impact on us. So I think you are generally just a joyous person. But I'm sure if you were named something else, you would be slightly different. Do
you really believe that?
I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. Wow.
We will never know. Here's the thing: we will never
We won't know. We won't know. We could talk about it the whole rest of the time. And honestly, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
It's interesting for me because so many people put their energy or what they believe or what they think onto you. And it's like being named Gabriel has been, everyone said something along my journey.
Yeah.
And it does have an impact in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And it is because, especially living in America with that name, I do get asked a lot what it means. And sure enough, every time I say someone who's always happy, people always meet me back with, that is so you. You know? But I'm always like, you know, the always part. But like the word always really matters because I'm like, you're not around me you're not with me always. So
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. It brings up there was something that you mentioned in an interview. You said so many people are dependent on my energy.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel pressure of needing to be joyous, needing to be the ball of energy for everyone all the time? And ultimately, how do you refill and reset?
So when I said that in that interview, it was in a very particular setting. So it was talking about my leadership. So when I say so many people are dependent on my energy, it's Chef Fariyal's energy, not necessarily when I go back home to visit my family. Honestly, kind of then too, but it's not something that's expected of me.
Let's unpack this. Let's unpack this a lot. Let's unpack this right now.
So much. Gosh. So this is like therapy, huh? No, but it's not. Is a bit of a hyperbole if you're taking it outside of the context that I meant it. It's not in every setting. It was just specifically in my kitchen at the restaurant. So much of the tone of the energy of the restaurant is set by my mood or how I'm feeling that day. And I learned this when I was coming up in kitchens. And, you know, as prep cooks, you're like the first people in the building and we'd be having fun and kikiing. And if, you know, when chef walks in, if chef is in a bad mood, everybody's like, just, you know, head down, do the work. And I never wanted it to be like that for me. I wanted it to be the opposite. Like your productivity shouldn't depend on whether I, you know, slept well the night before or what's going on in my personal life. I never come in to work with the outside energy. And yeah, I think my kitchen is all the better for it. I've worked in so many different kitchens, different disciplines, you know, like traditional French brigade system to super casual settings. I think this is the best kitchen, the best setting to work in. It really does bring out the best in people, but also like it really helps your bottom line because people are more productive when they're happy than when they're like,
for sure.
Oh, I don't want to upset chef. But I don't feel that, but it's not even pressure. You know what I mean? It's just the right thing to do. But I don't feel that when I'm hanging out with my friends. Like if I'm just having a crappy day, I'm not going to be like, well, let me pretend like I didn't have a crappy day. And I think that's the balance. Like sometimes I don't want to talk. And I do have friends where you could just come over and we're just watching TV and I don't have to say anything to you. So you have to have that balance or else it's just not sustainable.
Speaking of balance, how do you balance being a leader who leads with joy, but also like cracking down as well and being like, hey, you didn't do what I asked. You know, like how are you balancing that exactly? Because you're so fun, you have incredible energy, but like, you know, people can take advantage of that, or as the English say, take the piss, you know, and like and be like, oh, you know, we can maybe push the envelope because Fariyal is is this joyous leader. But, it's also like, it's a demanding job.
It is. And I used to talk about this theory way before I got my own kitchen. I would have this conversation with my chef friends all the time. And I would say, when I get my kitchen, dude, I'm not going to be that chef that everybody's going to be scared of. We're going to have a baseline of respect, but I want happy kitchens. And so many chefs that I would talk to would be like, you can't. That's just not feasible. Because if you want the food to be of a certain quality, you just have to be serious. That's just how. People are motivated by fear. And I'm like, but I'm not motivated by fear. Like, I was never really like the prep cook or line cook that got yelled at a lot. I was the one that, always did everything that she was supposed to do. But I would see how it affected the people around me. And that's just so not true. Like, if you are happy and joyous, that doesn't equate to the absence of discipline at all. There's tons of discipline in my kitchen. And the two quickest ways of getting that discipline, so the rule is we can have fun as long as we're doing the work. And the two quickest ways to get, my line cooks, they say they know when it's time to work because they say I give them the Ethiopian eyes. I'm like, what is the Ethiopian eyes? Like, I don't know what that means. They're like, chef, there's just like a look in your eyes when we did something wrong and we know.
There's this like deep ancestral look into their soul.
I really don't know what it is, but apparently they know what it is. But it's if there's any kind of disrespect, I don't tolerate that in my kitchen at all. And you'll very much quickly see my face going from smiling to, all right, cool, let's step outside. And I will pull people out of the kitchen for on the spot coaching. And then the second thing is if I've given you feedback and you repeat the same mistake, that's also going to be a sit-down conversation. But it's a very structured kitchen. I mean, I have a system where, your first, the first time you mess up, you get a verbal warning. Second time, I'm going to give you a written warning. Third time, you're out the door. And everybody knows that. So I don't understand where people get this idea of there's a lack of discipline in kitchens that are happy. No, I've fired quite a few people. Yeah.
Isn't the food better when it's made with love? I mean, I think that's very cliche, but isn't it like it goes back to like grandma's cooking and mom's cooking and
listen, no, I genuinely believe that because sometimes I'm just not in the mood to cook, And I don't produce the same food when I'm like really excited to be like trying this a new ingredient or something versus when it's here we go again. I got to do the same thing. It could be the same recipe. It really does taste different based on how I feel.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like an energetic thing as well. We're all energy. Everything's an exchange. Everything's an exchange of energy, and so I think that it's in part in the food as well. You mentioned experiences that that you've had. I think you could probably spend this whole episode talking about maybe things that you learned not to do. But who taught you, and where did you learn the right things to do? And like this structure of communicating with people, giving that verbal warning, like because some people don't come with that foundation necessarily.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough for my first job straight out of culinary school to be at Noma in Copenhagen. Man, this was a long time ago. This was back in 2014. This is still very much where the fear being the motivator was alive and rampant. Kitchens are super toxic. So they call you outside your name all the time. Like it was not. Gen Z has very much brought a different type of communicating in kitchens. But before that, oh my gosh, I used to have to respond to names that was not mine, it's just very toxic. So at the height of all that, I remember René Redzepi talking one time to his team of sous chefs. He was telling them, so this was in private, honestly. I was kind of eavesdropping, admittedly. But he was telling them in private, he was like, this is not a good way to run kitchens. His wife was pregnant at the time, and he's like, I don't want my baby to grow up and say, they want to work in a kitchen because this is not healthy. Like, people are not happy. We should change the way kitchens work. And that was the first time I had ever heard anyone talking about kitchens like that because I had made room for the fact that this is a life I chose. This is just how it's going to be. People are going to be disrespectful. It's very toxic. You just don't have to absorb it. But that was the first time that seed was planted in my head. That was 11 years ago. And that's kind of what catapulted my culinary career. And he left me with that thought. Yeah.
Wow. It's powerful. It makes me think of like what was happening in culture, in society at that time.
Yeah.
That there was this shift. And not saying that was like the beginning of the shift. I think it probably maybe even started before that. But like, what was happening in 2014 or before that or slightly after that people were recognizing, or maybe chefs at that level were recognizing, hey, the way that I started out and the way that I kind of went through my whole career, maybe it's not the way anymore.
I mean, honestly, I think it was very prescient of him back then in 2014 because it still exists now.
Oh, for sure.
It's still very much how most kitchens are led. Obviously, Noma is a very special restaurant. And I think one of the things that makes it special is he's just like really true to who he is. And he had that foresight that kitchens are toxic and we should change it. And it didn't matter that no other kitchen was being led that way. That's what he thought that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. I think what's really beautiful about that is being such an important restaurant who has so many incredible chefs that come from all over the world that are either working there. Some of them are just staging for a little while. That has a massive impact on the generations of people who experience that like you did. And it's like we were in the series I did with Jamila and Effects of Change, we were talking with Elena Regadas and just talking about like all the people that have gone through her kitchen or other kitchens. And it's profoundly and is going to profoundly change food culture as we move into the future.
Yeah, 100%. It's the trickle effect. I mean, think about that. He planted that seed in my head, and I now, I have a kitchen that is very much public facing, and everybody that comes through my kitchen, and I've had prep cooks like where the same way Noma was my first restaurant, I've had a lot of prep cooks and line cooks that Havamar is their first restaurant. So this is the impression I'm leaving them with. So their normal is this now. And when they go on to opening their own restaurants or working in their, like leading their own kitchens, I hope this is the seed that I'm planting in their head. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. What are the ingredients that define your Ethiopian food experience?
Like literal ingredients?
Like let's talk about ingredients. You know, let's talk about spices. Let's talk about I think I can't be the only person, and I think I'm well traveled. I've obviously eaten Ethiopian food, but I'm not an expert at all, and I don't know everything. And I think there's listeners, whether it be chefs or people in the community that want to know more and are interested in knowing more. But I also know that it's specific to kind of your experience because what is in Ethiopia? There's 90 plus different ethnic groups, and everyone has sort of a different culture in a lot 100%. Of ways.
Yeah, and by the way, those different ethnic groups have their own language, their own food, their own clothes, like to the point where if we don't speak Amarinya, which is kind of like the, it's not even the most widely spoken, but that's what we speak in the capital city. If you don't speak that, I have friends that I can't communicate with other than English, even though we're both Ethiopian, because they speak their tribal language, I speak my tribal language. The biggest thing people are always surprised to find out about Ethiopia is that it's the birthplace of coffee. Did you know this, Gabriel? I
didn't know that. No.
Yeah. So
thank God for Ethiopia.
Well, here's the thing. We can give a shout out to Italy too, because Ethiopia is like, yo, we found this thing. I think it's like really cool. I don't really know what to do with it.
What should we do?
And the Italians were like, yo, I think maybe if we like boil water or something, I don't know. Like, let's try this thing.
Yeah.
So we give them value. But I always start off with coffee because it's obviously coffee is like the most global experience. Like, like so many people drink coffee, right? And they're always surprised to find out it was discovered in Ethiopia. And this, I'm not going to give you any dates, but it was a very long time ago. And it was discovered by a goat herder named Kaldi. And he noticed that every time he would let his goats graze, he noticed in particular, every time they grazed on these berries, they would go nuts. they would go ham. Like they had a lot more energy. They were just like frolicking in the whatever. And he was like, this is very weird, because he noticed that it was happening every time they ate the berries. So he took the berries, and Ethiopia is a very religious country. So he took it to his church and he gave it to a priest. And I don't know what the inclination was, but the priest decided to burn the berries. And he noticed that he stayed up all night. And he's like, this is really useful because we could stay up praying all night.
We could stay up all night.
We could stay up all night and pray.
Now we can worship.
We can worship better. Our worship efficiency is much higher when we burn these berries. So that's how coffee was discovered.
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't that cool? So you're welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to hear more about the other ingredients but there's this, I forget, it was like Jerry Seinfeld on The Tonight Show, and he's talking about coffee, how it's like the truest moment, and really there's nothing better before or after that. But I forget exactly what he said, but it's brilliant. People should look up like his take on coffee.
Can I tell you something?
Tell me, yeah, please.
I don't drink coffee, like, ever.
Oof.
Yeah.
But it's good that you have that pride for it, though.
Of course. Are you kidding? It was our gift to the world.
Yeah. Why don't you drink coffee?
I'm very sensitive to caffeine.
Yeah.
I
am too. I probably shouldn't drink it, but
yet you do.
I do, yeah, because I love the taste of it. It's not for me.
Oh.
For me, a few of my colleagues say I wake up with fire in my veins. Like I have so much energy. You know how some people wake up and they're like sluggish, getting out of bed.
Yeah,
I'm like on it.
Same.
I'm on it. So I don't need it, but I really love the smell. I love the taste. I also just love just coffee culture in general. Like I love going to a coffee shop when I'm traveling or I'm in a different country and like seeing people and just connecting with them. It's kind of beautiful.
You have to see, I have a video on my Instagram page, how we drink coffee in Ethiopia. And this is an everyday process. It's not, we don't do instant coffee. It feels like a whole ceremony. Like we always start off with the raw beans. So you won't find roasted coffee beans in an Ethiopian household. It's always the green in its raw form. And then we roast that and we grind it in a mortar and pestle. And then we have a vessel called a jebana. It's a clay pot. And we brew it in that. And like the whole process takes about an hour. And it's like a very convivial experience. It's a moment where you
Are we doing this at Haven Mar?
You know, I actually did it for my James Beard dinner.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
I did. I had a coffee ceremony at my James Beard dinner. And I was like, before we get into dessert, I need everybody to come. And I explained the whole process. It was so cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about, like what are the other ingredients in addition to Yeah.
So the biggest one, it's a spice called berbere. It's a chili that we sun dry during the whole month, like the entire period of summer. It's just out in the it's summer in Ethiopia because all you smell is the chili drying. And then each household kind of has their own recipe. But the foundation is you get those dried chilies. You usually have garlic, ginger. Sometimes you have warm spices like cardamom. And then you just grind it in a mortar and pestle and it turns into this fine powder. And it's like baseline spice, but there's so much other notes, like so many other notes. It's like floral, it could be vegetal, it's sweet. But that is the foundation for most of our cooking. And I always joke at Havamar, if we run out of berbere, it's a bad day at Havamar. Because I use it in so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard you talking about your mom's biryani. This rice dish that lamb or chicken, crispy shallots, jalapeno chutney. I was like, when are we doing this? That sounds incredible. Shout out to mom for that one.
Shout out to mom for giving me so many of the bangers on my menu at Havamar. It's all her. But this biryani dish, it's actually, I've always wanted to do a deep dive into the historical context, because my tribe was the only tribe in Ethiopia that eats rice. Everywhere else, the foundation is injera, which is like a sourdough flatbread. But I grew up eating biryani. That was my thing. And that was because of just like the brief research that I've done. It was because of the spice trade. We got so much of India's spices. And even sometimes, like, when I showed up at the red carpet for James Beard Awards, I was wearing my traditional tribal clothes, and people were like, "You're Indian?" I'm like, "No, this is us. This is Ethiopia." But there's so many similarities. But yeah, that biryani. So now, anytime I go back home, that's the first thing my mom cooks for me: biryani. Because it's like
has been that spice trade. You know, because we've talked to a lot of Indian friends, and we had a chef friend on a year ago talking about, you know, every Indian household has that spice dabba, you know, where it's like, does in Ethiopia or in your tribe, is there also sort of like that cabinet or that area or that special vessel that holds the spices?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically our pantry. We have different spices for different
whole
things.
Pantry.
The whole pantry is like, no, forget your stocks and sauces. No, our pantry is spices. All the different spices. But yeah, there's just so many. Like I mentioned one, berbere, and then there's another one called mitmita, and that one is berbere spicier cousin. That's if you were like if you want to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that. Yeah, I would like that.
But there's so many different spices.
How do you and Chef Marcus collaborate? How do you define the way you both collaborate in you know, merging his style with your style?
You know what? It's so interesting because it's not that much of a stretch, because his story is that he was born in Ethiopia, but when he was 2 years old, he was adopted into a Swedish family and moved to Sweden. And then, you know, when he grew older, obviously he wanted to learn more about his Ethiopian roots, so he started to tap into that. I grew up in Ethiopia. I left when I was 16. I went to culinary school, and immediately after culinary school, I moved to Copenhagen. So much of my foundation is Scandinavian cooking. So it's like, we're probably the only two Ethiopian/Scandinavian influenced chefs. So it's not that much of a stretch. When we get together, it's like we have so many of the same ideas and it makes sense. But one thing that I'm mostly grateful for about the way that him and I work together is that he has trusted me so much with his vision. He knew he wanted to open Havamar. He was very clear on the concept. He was very clear that he wanted a woman of color to lead it. And he was very clear that it was going to be me. And in the beginning, the very first menu that we've developed, we talked constantly, night and day, about ingredients. What should we use? Like, what type of dishes should we make? And then after that first menu, because we are a seasonal restaurant and I change the menu, you know, every 3 to 4 months, he was like, "It's yours. How about it?"
Wow.
Yeah. I love the fact that he's trusted me with it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Being as like it's officially spring, I think as of you know, a week ago or something like that.
Was it?
You know, what's currently on the menu at Havamar? What will be on the menu? Get us excited, make us hungry.
Ooh, okay. So I have some staples that will always live on the menu.
Yeah. Is this Mom's biryani? Is that one's not going anywhere, right?
You know, Mom's biryani only made an appearance this winter for the first time.
Okay.
And because we're a seafood restaurant, I was really scared to make it with seafood instead of what I was like. I grew up eating it with lamb or chicken, and it was fire. It worked. You know, we make it with crab, shrimp, lobster. It's dope. And it worked so well that I'm going to keep it on for spring menu. But it's a whole experience. Like, it comes out in the pot that we actually cook it in. And when the server drops it on your table, they open the pot and there's extra accoutrements that come with it. The trio of mint, cilantro, dill. And then they put that in there and the server mixes it for you because it's that's how my mom serves me biryani when I go home. Like, I've never fixed my own plate. As soon as I get home, she's like, let me mix it for you. I'm like, what is more hospitable than this? So I'm bringing that experience to have Amar. So the server's doing all that. But it's like, we always get this. As soon as the server opens the pot, that first whiff that you get, it's so aromatic. And the guests are just, our guests are just like, it's so cool to experience. And I love the fact that whenever we launch a new menu, we go through a whole series of training for our servers. And I told them this story. This is how my mom feeds me whenever I go home. So now that's what our servers tell our guests as they're, mixing this for them. This is like, they're always explaining how this is how Chef Fariyal's mom serves them. So we wanted to bring that extension of her, her family into here. It's just really dope. But there's the staple that will always be there forever. Even though we're a seafood restaurant, I had to put the national dish of Ethiopia, which is dorowet. It's a stewed chicken dish. And that is actually one of the first things, or the first tastings that I gave to Chef Marcus. And it was so dope. We're like, are we really putting chicken on a seafood menu? We have to honor both of our Ethiopian roots. It's the national dish of Ethiopia.
It'd be rude not to.
It would be crazy not to put dorowet. So that has been on the menu since the day we opened, and it has not gone through any iterations but its original one. So that stays forever. We have some pretty cool things. We actually have our tasting for the spring menu in 2 days.
Okay,
so,
nice.
So we'll see how many of these dishes live on to make it. But I'm really excited about, I did this whole branzino with the sauce. It's an Ethiopian chickpea stew called shiro. So it's this beautiful roasted whole branzino, butterflied. We cook it in our hearth oven and then just pour over shiro on it. And we're serving it with these injera rounds to act kind of like as a tortilla. So you're going to like build your own little bite. Also, I'm trying to make a gomen kimchi, which is a collard green kimchi. So that's the dish I'm most excited about. It's just so umami, and like it has like the kimchi, just like like all that fermentation, it brings the acidity, and then it's just so good. So if it passes the test,
it sounds delicious. I hope it passes the test.
It's gonna pass the test. I'm just trying to be humble, you know what I mean? But it's gonna be on the menu. So
amazing. Well, something to look forward to. I think we would be remiss not to congratulate you on the James Beard, yet again semi-finalist, awards. Yes. I think it's incredible. Congratulations to you, to Marcus, to your team.
Thank you.
It's a huge honor.
Huge.
Even just being, and I've talked to Claire and some of the team about just being a semi-finalist is massive. Yeah. Being a finalist is it changes how people view themselves. It also creates discovery just in that of itself, of just being, on the list. But when Jamila and I released Effects of Change, you and I had spoke and you said, well, I'm interested in listening to that episode with Claire and Tim on awards, why awards matter, but also kind of Claire's take on the fact that James Beard is more than just the awards itself. But I wanted to ask you, what was your takeaway from that episode, being the fact that you're in the system, you've been in the system, you're been honored by James Beard, you're doing dinners with them, but hearing Claire talk about what they're doing, and also the thought of this is why awards matter. Yeah.
And I think it's appropriate that it was on your show called Effects of Change, because that's essentially what the James Beard does. People think it's kind of like a nod to what you're doing, but there's so much that happens on the back end. So people see the James Beard Awards. They call it what do they call it? The Oscars of the
Oscars
restaurant. So it's like this
exactly
glamorous thing, but really, people, it's like the way it affects your business. When I was nominated, my first nomination for Emerging Chef last year, I could easily say there's about a 25% increase in our business.
Wow.
Just from that semi-finalist nomination for Emerging Chef. and I think Claire said this on the podcast, but the awards is such a small part of what they do as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many things, there's so many different facets of the organization. There's a climate crisis prong. There's a social justice and equality prong. It's not just about let's give out some awards to, you know, some chefs that are doing some great things. They're actually trying to facilitate change within the industry and also doing it while bringing awareness to so many things that a lot of people are not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked a lot about, that episode was really about awards and recognition and to encapsulate it, it's why do they matter?
Yeah.
And you're talking about that. You're talking about the depth of these awards, and that the fact that they're not just, here's an award, congratulations on you know, for what you've done, but it's the fact that they change communities, they drive traffic, they build audiences, they create community, and I think that was such an integral component of that I wanted to get across for both James Beard and for something like World's 50 Best. But you know, I think we all want awards. I think we all want to be honored for the work that we put in. But what does this mean to you and your team? Like being honored and potentially winning. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for Fariyal?
We started this whole conversation talking about pressure, right? And
yeah, you're right. We did.
We did. Yeah. Statistically, there's only 6% women of color that are in leadership positions in this industry. And I come with so many underrepresented voices. I'm Black, I'm an immigrant, I'm a woman, I'm Muslim. So much underdog energy.
Underdog energy.
I'm the underdog, you know?
That's a funny way to put it.
It is. But I am the embodiment of so many underrepresented voices. And when you say what it means to Fariyal to win an award like a James Beard Award, it's honestly not even just for me. It's not even for my own ego or my own pride. It's to show everyone, like, you guys have gate-kept this industry for so long when there's so much talent. Like, if you open up the window, if you open up the doors just a little bit, how much we could diversify flavors and leadership styles. That's really what it means to me, because I'm out here trying to do all these things. And like winning a James Beard, that's like, see, I told y'all, like this is working.
Yeah.
There's not only one way of doing this thing. We could do it this way too. But yeah, it really just puts the spotlight on you. It really has nothing to do with like going home with the medal for me. It's more of opening up the doors for more people that are like me, more women, more Black chefs, more immigrants.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, you're hitting all the buckets.
Yeah.
You know, they're so to speak. You know, we had an episode of that series as well that was really highlighting culture and heritage.
Yeah.
And you know, in a lot of ways, I mean, that's the work that you're doing, you know, is well. But since you started your career, have you seen more of a celebration of culture and heritage, and again, whether it be African, whether it be Mexican, whether it be Peruvian, but like how have you seen it from the inside? Because I know, you know, your head's down, focused in the kitchen, quite a bit. But when you do look up and look over the course of the last decade and a half, are you hopeful? Are you proud of the progress that's been made thus far?
I am. I mean, it's slow progress, but I'm extremely proud. You know, while I have my head down, even when we're opening up Haven Mar, and we were creating the very first menu, so much of the conversations were about approachability. You know, it wasn't about, is this food delicious? Obviously, we wouldn't be opening a restaurant if the food wasn't delicious, but is it approachable enough? You know, we're opening a restaurant in the heart of Chelsea. It's not obviously going to be all the Ethiopians that are descending upon the restaurant. It's like there's certain type of guests that will be coming in. Is this approachable to them? And honestly, in the beginning, it was very frustrating for me to have those conversations because I'm like, well, you want me to be the chef and this is the type of food that I make. Why are we even having these conversations? It was frustrating for me in the beginning. But now I have so many examples. And speaking of James Beard, let's talk about some James Beard Award winners. You have the unapologetic food groups. Chintan won Best Chef New York, I think it was 2 years ago. And they have a series of Indian restaurants, and each location focuses on a certain region of Indian cuisine. And you know what? Their stuff is not approachable. They're not thinking about approachable when they're making their menu. This is what they eat down there, and this is how they're going to serve it. And whoever wants to come and eat it, they're going to come and eat it. And guess what? They have a James Beard Award. They're so extremely talented. They have a Michelin star at Sema, the first Indian Michelin star in New York City.
That's incredible. It's
amazing. If you want to go to Philly, you have Knock, who has a Thai restaurant, Kalia, and she has a James Beard Award too, you know? And she does not, there's no conversation about approachability. Her food is so spicy. And as somebody who has a very high tolerance for spice.
Unapologetically spicy.
What I tell you, every time I'm eating her food, I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And she's not worried about making it approachable.
Yeah.
So I love it. Like, we're finally getting our flowers. It's time to put a rest to this whole approachability. We were filming Chopped once, and so I think somebody asked me that question. What did I say? I don't know. I said something very profound, but it was in the heat of the moment. Somebody had served us fufu, and I had the production team. I was like, please clear our forks and knives. That's not how we're eating this. Please bring us a bowl of water. We're going to eat this the way it's meant to be eaten. And somebody had asked a question about approachability, and I was just like irritated. And I was like, you know what? Let's not have that conversation anymore. Like, the world needs to meet us where we are at. We have to stop trying to meet people where they're at. They can come to where we are.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to be here, this is not for you. But guess what? We're still going to collect the Michelin stars and the James Beard Awards and make it on the 50. Like, there's people that this food is for.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, so much of what I talk about is building community.
Yeah.
And like, if you do what you authentically want to do, like, you will find your audience.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't find their audience because it's specific to, it might just be location. It might be a certain region that hasn't, or you haven't really built those evangelists who kind of want to come back and want to be those repeat customers. But like, I truly believe that if you do something with passion and intention, like, you can find the people that want to be a part of that.
100%. And I think it's so important not to like water down your food or your recipes and ingredients, because you know how a lot of chefs say we're artists? I think we're authors. I think we're telling a story. So anytime you come to Haven Mar, I'm telling you a story of, you know, like Ethiopian cuisine. There's historical context. There's a geographical context. So anytime I'm changing my recipe to appease your palate, I'm erasing my history.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
And you're also telling stories about your childhood as well.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. When people are coming to the table saying, "This is how Fariyal's mother would do it," like, it's also deeply from you. Not just, yes, there's a larger cultural context, but it's also like you as well in a lot of ways.
100%. And why would I change that? Because you can't tolerate a certain spice. You know what I mean? We're not rewriting. No.
Don't do it. We're not doing that.
No.
I know travel's been so important for your development as a chef, as a person. I think you've been to over 40 countries plus.
My last count is 57, but okay.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. I'm not up to date.
You're not up to date. No. There's no fact check at the end of the podcast, so I have to fact check.
No, there isn't. what's the next destination? What's the next place that you're looking to visit and explore?
Okay. So talking about putting my head down, I have not had a vacation in 3 years. And I'm like not exaggerating. I literally have not had a vacation in 3 years.
You're like, literally. No,
Literally.
no vacation.
3 years. So I'm finally taking my first one in July, and I'm going to Portugal.
Amazing.
I've never been to Portugal.
Where in Portugal?
So we'll fly into Lisbon.
Okay, nice.
But I'm going to a concert called Afro Nation in Portimão. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but Portimão. It's like this little beach town.
Yeah.
So they'll probably say like Portimão or something like that. Like,
yeah.
The T is never a T. It's like, but whatever. Yeah. So that's my next. Well, it's not my next trip, but it's like a trip to a country that I have not yet visited. I'll go to other places between now and July, but it's all places that I've been to already.
Mm-hmm. And are there, in addition to the concert, are there restaurants that you're excited to check out, or are you starting to kind of develop that as we speak?
I have not. I need.
You got to do that.
I need to get my reservations in. I definitely need to do that ASAP. But yeah, that's next on my to-do list. You know, it's like flights obviously already booked, but before you get your hotels and stuff, for me, it's restaurant. What restaurants are we going to?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
What's exciting you the most about dining in New York right now?
Dining in New York, we already touched upon it. Some of the most exciting restaurants right now are not just classical French cuisine, and I'm a diehard fan of classical French cuisine. Like that's me. But yeah, there's just so many restaurants that are serving food exactly how they eat it in their countries, in their respective countries. And I love that. We're having a moment for that. But also, this is the first time I felt this. There's a lot of support in the industry. We all just want everybody to win. We really do. Yeah. Like when the semifinalist announcement came out, I was talking to VJ, who's also on the list. And I'm like, dude, I want you to win so bad. He's like, no, I want you to win. I'm like, why can't we all win? There's so much support. Or even like Ayo from Department of Culture, you know, he makes Nigerian food. He's also on the list. I'm like, bro, like, I just want us all to win. Like, we're just so, just like madly supportive and just like very passionate about everybody getting their W's. Let's all win.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. I think we need more of that. I think a healthy level of competition is good, but at the end of the day, like I think we can all win in a lot of ways. And if a restaurant down the street is doing well, it's good for the neighborhood. It's good for the community.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool to hear that everyone's supportive of each other. Yeah. What's a life lesson you can leave us with?
Can I cheat? Can I give you 2?
Please. Give us 3. Give us 3 if you want.
Because I'm so wise. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is actually like I'm so big on not giving advice because it always makes me feel like I've put myself on this moral high ground where I have figured out life and this is how you should live. I really don't like giving out advice, but I have a generic way that I like to move about that has made my relationships a lot more just like wealthy in my relationships with people. And this could be in work settings, it could be in your personal life, with your family, with your friends. And this gives a little bit of my background in psychology because my first degree was a clinical child psychology. But I like to tell my sous chefs all the time, don't act or speak on your primary emotions. So the primary emotions, there's like 5 or 6. This might be very outdated. I got my degree in 2012. But your primary emotions, there's anger, fear, disgust, happiness. And usually what happens is there's a whole network of data behind your primary emotions. And when you communicate your very first things, there's not really that much depth. You haven't really understood what's going on yourself either. So there could be a lot of miscommunication in that first phase of experiencing what you experienced. So when my sous chefs get angry at, this person has made repeated mistakes, I'm like, hold on. Let's get further understanding and clarification. And I don't think people do that enough. They don't take time to understand their own feelings before they sit down and express exactly what's going on. And I think a lot of disagreements can be avoided this way, or even agreements.
Sure.
Like, are you just doing it to appease this person?
A lot of pain and suffering can be avoided
if
people were less reactive.
Yes.
And I mean, what you're talking about is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And really, yeah, I mean, I think all of us in a lot of ways can be reactive, but it takes that emotional intelligence to take a beat.
Yeah.
And go, am I just being responsive? Am I being retaliatory right now?
Exactly.
Would I say the same thing 2 days from now?
100%.
When we've cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I like to live my life. And I think there's a lot more clarity in all my relationships.
Yeah.
But the second one, it's only because it happened really recently. So over the weekend, my best friend, Camille Broussard, who was a pastry chef in Chicago, she came. We did a dinner for Fariyal and friends. But over the weekend, we went to get our aura photos taken. And I've never done that before. So you get your aura photo taken and then they read it for you. And it was just really interesting because we had our aura photos taken, and the person who was reading it, she was like, you guys are basically twins. It was like really beautiful to see. But Camille had a question. We both had this like radiating white light coming from our like heart chakra. And Camille was like, what does that mean? And she was like, your heart is happy. The person reading it told us, she's like, your heart is happy. And that may just be because you guys are together right now. It's like you feel these things, but until somebody actually says and explains it to you, the importance of surrounding yourself with people that truly, like, your central nervous system agrees with them. You know what I mean? Like, you're not hanging out with this person.
I love how you put that.
Because they're cool or because, like, whatever reason it is, our intuition always knows. Our central nervous system always knows. And just pay a lot of attention to who makes your heart happy and just spend your time with more of those people. I got emotional when she was telling us that. I was like, my heart really is happy with Camille Broussard. I got so emotional. And I was like, it just brings out the best in you.
Yeah, it's so, truer words haven't been spoken. I think that is so beautiful. I think it took me, and I don't think late in life to realize that, but like it took me a little while to really kind of figure that out. And I'm so glad that I have. And I encourage people to listen to your words. And I hope it sinks into their heart, to their soul, because that is like, how you feel when you're with the right people. Yeah. It's an energy.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And like sometimes, your mind is trying to make adjustments to what you really feel. You're trying to make excuses, but don't ignore that voice. Don't ignore your intuition.
Yeah. Love it. Oh, yeah. Chef, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was so fun. Everybody needs to get to Have and Mar and check out the new spring menu.
Yes. Come have
coming
Mom's
up here pretty
biryani.
soon. Yeah, there you go. And congratulations with all your success.
Thank you so much.
Here's the continued success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
On the Pass is hosted and produced by me, Gabriel Ornelas, and edited and mixed by Dylan Agajanian, with original music by Dylan Agajanian.